Black Millionaire CEO stunned as airport agent mocks his accent in public. Marcus Simmons moved through the crowded terminal like a king among commoners. His sharp suit catching the light from the high airport windows, a confident stride powered by years of relentless work. He had built his empire from scratch, grinding through every setback, blending charm and sharp intellect to own every boardroom he entered. Today, this airport was just another stop, just another flight. But then it happened. A sudden shift cut through the busy hum of wheels on polished floors, the chatter of tired travelers. He caught the edge first, the sharp glance of an airport agent nearby, eyes gleaming with something dark and reckless. Then came the smirk, slow and deliberate, slicing through the noise. The agent mimicked Marcus's accent, loud enough for the cluster of people lining up around them to hear. Laughter exploded, harsh, mocking, ripping through the space like nails on glass. Whispers turned to snickers, then full-on jeers. Faces turned toward Marcus, some curious, some amused. His chest tightened, breath caught in his throat. His hands clenched into fists, fingers trembling, not from fear, but the sting of something far worse: humiliation. He locked eyes with the agent. The smirk didn't waver. The sound of laughter jabbed deeper, like a blade twisted and slow. The anger bubbled, fierce and raw, ready to burst. Should he confront this man, here and now? The fight rose inside him, a storm pushing to break free. But then something strange flickered at the edge of his vision. A group of men appeared, standing not far off, a small cluster dressed in dark, sharp suits that swallowed light. Their eyes locked on Marcus, like predators sizing up their prey. No badges, no name tags, just an icy, watchful presence that sent a ripple of alarm through his veins. Who were they? Why were they watching him like that? His heart hammered fast. The world shifted underneath his feet. That smirking agent became smaller, almost irrelevant. This new tension was heavier, colder. Marcus felt his calm slip away, replaced by something sharper. Danger, maybe. The noise around him felt distant now, a blurry echo. All he could see were those eyes locked on him, filled with intent he couldn't read, but instantly understood meant trouble. He stood there, caught in a vice between the urge to lash out at the agent and the chill of those silent watchers. Pride and fear warred inside him. His mind raced. Was this injustice just the start? Was there something bigger coming? Something he couldn't yet grasp? The airport buzzed with its usual energy, but for Marcus, the moment stretched thin, taut as a wire, ready to snap. Something was coming, and it wasn't just the plane waiting at the gate. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And while you're there, drop a powerful like. It really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know each incredible person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The moment stretched impossibly long, like the tense silence before a storm. The agency agent's laughter morphed into background noise, muffled and far off, as Marcus's pulse thundered in his ears. The dark-suited watchers drew closer, their presence sharp and palpable, as unseen dread prickled at the nape of his neck. Then, as if time had warped, a scream shattered the atmosphere, a woman's voice shrieking from the security line. "Help! Someone, help!" Heads turned, anxiety rippling through the crowd like a shockwave. Marcus's heart lurched. The agent's grin faltered, replaced by concern. But it was the group of men, those icy observers, who shifted their focus, their gazes like hawk eyes zeroing in on a target. With panic spreading like wildfire, Marcus leaned in, trying to discern the source of the chaos. A young mother clutched her child by the arm, wide-eyed and trembling. A stranger lunged forward, grasping her shoulder. But she jerked away, shouting, "No! He has my son!" The boy, no older than 5, stood frozen between rows of luggage, his innocent face a stark contrast to the grim tension radiating from the adults. The dark-suited men exchanged urgent whispers, their expressions suddenly grave. One of them, a tall figure with a deep, ominous voice, stepped forward, claiming authority. "I need you to step aside, ma'am. This is a matter of national security." Marcus's breath hitched. National security? The words struck with blunt force. Who were these men? What did they know that he didn't? He felt the weight of the agent's earlier mockery, now overshadowed by something far graver. His need to act was eclipsed by the sheer intensity of the situation. People stared, some filming with their devices. The mother's wails echoed through the terminal. It wasn't just a child. It was a connection, an unraveling thread. "He's not just any boy. He's—" She hesitated, biting her lip, eyes darting. The tall man's expression darkened. "Step aside or face the consequences," he warned. Consequences. The word hung, heavy and foreboding. Marcus felt a jolt of recognition. Something deep within him stirred. He knew the child, his gut twisted in knot after knot. He scanned the area, searching for clarity, but only chaos surrounded him. Could it be? Did the boy carry the weight of a hidden secret? The echo of past dealings, cover-ups? The dark-suited man's gaze locked onto Marcus, piercing through the fray. "You know him, don't you?" he demanded, and the intensity of his stare sent a chill racing down Marcus's spine. "A business rival's kid?" Marcus stammered, feeling the ground beneath him shifting. "Not just anyone's child," the man replied, voice dropping to a threatening tone. "He's someone you need to protect." Panic surged through Marcus, heart racing in time with the fluctuating energy in the crowd. The edges of his world trembled, threatening to crumble in an instant. This wasn't just an innocent mistake or a chance encounter. This was a collision of past and present that he never expected. Protect him? Marcus echoed, a torrent of questions flooding his mind. From what? From us, the man replied, eyes flashing a knowing heat. And from everything you thought you knew. Suddenly, the mother's shriek cut through the tension again. He's my son, Stefan! They're not telling you the truth! He's in danger! Marcus's world spun. The airport buzz faded into a dull hum as reality twisted, unveiling layers of deception. The very ties he had built to protect his empire were fraying, unraveling before him. He felt unmoored, a ship adrift in a storm. Then the darkness loomed closer. He glanced back toward the agent, whose smirk had vanished, replaced by confusion. They were all players in a bigger game, one that hadn't just begun. The walls of his carefully constructed life were crumbling, revealing shadows of betrayal he couldn't yet comprehend. What the hell is going on? He all but shouted, desperation spilling into his voice as he faced the men, searching for answers and for a way out. But as the sirens wailed in the distance, it was clear. They were all running out of time, and the truth was more elusive than he ever imagined. The sirens wailed, a harbinger of chaos that sliced through the palpable tension in the air. Marcus's heart raced, the frantic pulse matching the urgency of the crowd's rising panic. The dark-suited men were closing in, their gazes narrowing like predatory wolves. The air felt thick, as if every breath he took might trigger an avalanche. Protect him? Marcus said, desperation crawling into his chest. The mother's cries echoed, a desperate symphony of fear. But the tall man's gaze, intimidating and relentless, shifted abruptly. We're not the only ones who want him, he said, voice low and deadly, just as a fresh wave of murmurs rolled through the gathered throng. Then, from the corner of his eye, a shadow darted, a figure emerging through the throng. A woman, her hair strikingly familiar. Every component of the chaos melted into background noise as Marcus's vision sharpened. The woman pushed closer, a determined scowl etched across her features, and suddenly, everything shifted. Marcus! She called, urgency threading through her strained voice. You have to listen to me. He recognized her. Their eyes locked, and a jolt of recognition surged through him. It was Kendra, his long-lost sister, whom he had presumed dead in a tragic accident years ago. But here she was, alive and radiating a frantic energy that might slice through the electric air. Kendra's presence turned the world upside down. His breath caught in his throat. Kendra? How? What are you doing here? Confusion flooded him, unearthed memories clouding his mind. He wasn't just facing a chaotic scene. He was confronting the very foundation of his life. She stumbled a few steps closer, the urgency in her eyes turning desperate. They're in danger because of you. This child, he's a pawn in their game. The agent and the dark-suited men shifted uncomfortably as if their invisible strings were tugged. "What do you mean? How are you involved?" He felt each word like a jab, more questions than answers swirling in a frantic whirlpool of feelings. "Your business, everything you've created, is built on a lie," Kendra said, her voice rising above the murmurs of disbelief from the gathered crowd. "They want control, Marcus. They want to draw you in, to use your empire for power beyond what you can even imagine. And that boy, he's the key." The mother clutched her son tightly, her wide eyes darting between Marcus and Kendra. In panic, the tall, dark-suited man stepped forward, voice cold. "This is none of your concern, lady. Step away." "No," Kendra shouted, igniting a sudden stir of recognition among the dark figures, as if her presence held a far-reaching weight. "You don't understand the truth of who he really is." "Stop!" Marcus barked, clenching his fists. "What do you know about him?" The world around him blurred into insignificance. All that mattered was the truth racing to the surface, threatening to implode everything he had fought for. "He's not just a child," Kendra whispered, trembling. "He's your nephew. My son." Time froze, breath caught, reality shattered. The number of betrayals, secrets, and lost moments collided in an explosive realization that rocked Marcus to his core. Laughter from earlier faded, the mocking agent reduced to a mere shadow. All their lives had intertwined in a web of deceit he had never seen. "What?" came a collective gasp from the spectators, disbelief rippling through the crowd. Marcus stared, mind reeling, the ground beneath him shifting dangerously. His life, up until now, lay splintered like shattered glass, reflecting fragments of a truth he never expected and couldn't yet fathom. As sirens drew closer, a new urgency fed into the air. The stakes had escalated. The dark-suited men pulled their phones, talking rapidly, a tide of panic washing over Marcus. Something darker loomed beyond him, beyond Kendra, beyond the child, a storm gathering strength on the horizon. Marcus felt the sharp prick of understanding claw at him. He was now trapped in an unwieldy game where innocence was a currency, and the rules had just transformed. "We need to get out of here," he urged, his voice low yet commanding. But one question reverberated through him like an alarm bell. Was he the protector or the unwitting threat? Before he could answer, a loud explosion rocked the terminal. All eyes turned, widening in horror as panic erupted once more, urgency swelling like a tide, ready to pull them under. "What have I done?" whispered Marcus, just before chaos consumed everything. The explosion tore through the terminal like a wild beast unleashed, shattering glass and igniting room. Marcus staggered back, his heart racing, the sound drowning out everything, a monstrous roar swallowing chaos whole. The world around him transformed into a paint-splattered canvas of panic, colors bleeding into desperation. Kendra's face twisted in horror, her hands gripping her son tighter as they huddled close. The crowd erupted into a frenzy, bodies surging toward exits, screams blending with the heavy scent of smoke. A boy's innocent laughter had morphed into the nightmare of chaos, the vibrant hues of life now cloaked in gray. In that moment of deafening confusion, Marcus's eyes darted back to the dark-suited men, their expressions no longer cold and calculated, but shockingly altered. Fear flickered in their eyes, vulnerability exposed. He realized then, they weren't just hunters. They were prey, caught in a storm greater than they had anticipated. This was bigger than personal vendettas. He nodded, adrenaline pumping. But even as he prepared to move, something within him twisted. A gut instinct stirred. "Wait!" he yelled, glancing back at the child. The only tether to the possibility of a normal life. The boy who knew too much. "What do you know about him?" His voice pierced the clamor, demanding an answer. And that's when everything turned upside down. From the back of the terminal, a new figure emerged, stepping through the haze like a ghost, an impossibility in flesh. It was Riley, Marcus's closest confidant, and his brother. A man Marcus had believed lost forever in the very accident that had claimed Kendra. "Riley," a whisper pulled from Marcus's lips, disbelief rendering him momentarily still as the chaos swirled. Riley's eyes were wide with a mixture of urgent intent and something darker, lurking beneath. A resentment, perhaps? "I thought you were—" "I'm not dead!" Riley shot back, his voice sharp and cutting through the chaos like a blade. "I've been watching you, keeping tabs, digging deeper into the family business, Marcus." Marcus felt the world tilt. "What are you talking about?" The weight of innocence slipped through his fingers. The truth fracturing the very foundation he had built. There was betrayal, something unspoken, twisting in the air. "Everything you've built, it's tainted by blood, Marcus. It ties us all together. This boy, Kendra, our parents, more than you realize. The accident wasn't just an accident. Time slowed. The air thickened. Memories flashed. Fragments of childhood rose like phantoms, revealing a tangle of secrets. Kendra's disappearance, family whispers, shadows licking at the corners of praise and adoration. He felt like a marionette, strings entwined and frayed, each twinge of betrayal pulling him away from the light of safety. "Stop!" Kendra yelled, eyes blazing with pain. "We don't have time for this. They want the boy. We need to escape." Her voice cracked, radiating desperation. The dark-suited men snapped back into focus, sensing the family dynamics unraveling like a tightly wound coil. They tightened their ranks, the tension palpable as if they were ancient warriors bearing witness to an unsettled score. A cacophony of confusion. The sirens drew closer, their conflicting sounds like the heartbeat of a city in turmoil. "What are you hiding from me, Riley?" Marcus demanded, pushing against the swelling anxiety lodged in his throat. "What truth?" A flicker of resolve ignited in Riley's eyes. "Everything about the accident, Marcus. The truth is deeper than blood. It's about power, legacy. They want us, all of us, and you, standing here." A sudden, thunderous crack echoed, and a row of lights above them exploded, showering the space with shards of glass and sparks. Marcus stumbled, mind racing, barely registering the chaos as he fought against the newfound fear of his brother's allegiance, the shattered trust in Kendra's frantic gaze. As the crowd surged forward, Marcus knew they had to act. But the weight of betrayal clung like fog, dense and suffocating. "Together, we can expose them," Riley shouted above the cacophony. "But only if you trust us." Every fiber of his being screamed to flee, yet Marcus felt rooted in place, torn between danger and the long-buried truths of his bloodline. As heaviness settled, one final realization struck. Perhaps the child was indeed the key. But to what? Power, rescue, or destruction? His world was no longer his own, and with the next roar of sirens, a sense of impending doom washed over him, a storm bearing down from all directions. As Kendra grasped his hand, the weight of choice settled heavily. They could either expose the darkness or succumb to it, and he was left wondering, as the smoke began to envelop them, how many secrets could remain hidden in the chaos of a singular truth before everything crumbled apart. The air thickened with tension. Each breath Marcus took, prickling his skin like the electric charge before a thunderstorm. Chaos swirled around him, but he felt a strange calm within the storm, a deep sense of responsibility surging through his veins. Kendra's grip tightened on his hand, her urgency palpable, while Riley's uneasy presence channeled unanswered questions that sliced through the noise. The sirens wailed in the distance, a haunting reminder of the impending doom spiraling closer. "Marcus, we can't stay here," Kendra urged, her. But just as the crowd surged toward the exits, a sharp crack echoed from above, followed by a deafening boom. A cloud of concrete dust rained down, shrouding their escape in chaos. Instinct kicked in. Marcus shielded Kendra and her son with his body as they staggered back, voices melding into monstrous howls of fear. But within that terror, glimmers of clarity pierced through. The boy, the key, held a truth greater than any of them could comprehend. In that moment, everything hinged on the fragile thread of connection they shared. "Follow me," Riley shouted over the din, dragging them deeper into the heart of the terminal. But Marcus hesitated, a sudden unease gnawing at him. "Riley, we need to understand what you meant," he shouted, bending to his brother's will only temporarily. "Who are you really? Why now?" "Marcus, not here," Riley snapped, eyes darting toward the shifting shadows of the dark-suited men, now advancing, minds racing, intent on reclaiming control. But just as Riley turned to guide them through the throng, something extraordinary happened. A strong hand gripped Marcus's shoulder, spinning him around. Standing before him was the last person he ever expected to see. A woman he had buried deep in the recesses of his mind. Vanessa, the enigmatic lawyer who had once worked closely with him, appeared, her fiery aura sending tremors through his core. "Marcus," she breathed, urgency painting every word. "You have to listen to me. They're after all of you." "What do you mean they?" Marcus barked, voice trembling between dread and disbelief. "You were gone. I thought you were dead?" She cut in, her eyes flashing an unsettling truth. "Not quite. I was part of your family's darkest secret, Marcus. The accident, the betrayal, everything, it's connected. The weight of her words fell like lead, bringing a chilling revelation that seemed inexplicable, yet impossibly real. Around them, the crowd continued to stampede toward the doors, but all attention drew inward, like a gravitational pull to her revelation. The chaos faded as the gravity of her claim echoed in the void. The boy, he's not just a weapon in their game, she said, lowering her voice to a bare whisper, the urgency intensifying. He's the last living link to the truth of your lineage. The accident? It was orchestrated, and it wasn't an accident at all. Stop! Marcus's heart raced. What are you talking about? How can this be? Your father didn't die in the crash. He faked it to escape the very people who need this boy. They want control over your family's dealings, and they'll do anything to get it. Vanessa's expression was a frozen mask of intensity, as if the very fabric of her existence was at stake. Riley's jaw tightened, tension building in the corners of his eyes, as if he was battling with long-kept secrets of his own. We should have trusted the whispers, he murmured almost to himself, his voice a brittle whisper lost in the room. The ground beneath Marcus felt ready to shift again. Every moment piled upon another, spilling out memories twisted into half-truths. The relationships he had built, the life he had curated, were they founded on deceit, woven tightly with threads of betrayal? Everything you thought you knew about your life, Marcus, it's all a ploy, Vanessa insisted, her voice penetrating the clamor. But it's not just us who hold the answers. It's about to unravel. The terror bubbling beneath the surface surged to new heights as sirens blared closer, echoing like the heartbeat of some monstrous entity intent on consuming them whole. And then there was Kendra's son, the innocent child exposed to a world of darkness, the fragile covenant holding them together. Do we run? Do we confront them? Or we find the truth, Vanessa declared, eyes blazing with resolve. But as she spoke, a new sound sliced through the air, the ripping sound of fabric, a low thud, and a shattering explosion from the rear of the terminal. All eyes flickered there. A figure emerged from the smoke, blackened and cloaked in mystery. It's too late for the truth, it sneered with a voice that dripped with contempt. Revealing the grotesque visage of betrayal Marcus had never seen coming. Family ties are only as strong as the secrets you keep, and your whole family is mine to command. A rush of realization ignited horror within him, as another layer of deception peeled away, revealing roots that ran deeper than any of them had guessed. Every choice made was leading them toward an unseen endgame, one that had ramifications far beyond any dream of protection. As the cloaked figure stepped into the light, filling the terminal with an overwhelming darkness, Marcus's the echoes of shattered trust curled like smoke in the air, and the walls of his existence began to tremble once more, threatening to collapse entirely. With a final, thunderous roar echoing around them, Marcus knew he stood at the precipice of a revelation, one that could unravel everything he thought he knew. The end was mere silhouettes on the horizon, but this was just the beginning, the true game set to unfold. The cloaked figure stepped forward, each slow, deliberate movement, drawing the crowd into a deeper cycle of dread that intertwined them all in this vibrating web of fear. Shadows draped over its face, but the glint of menace glimmered in its eyes, a predator surveying its prey. The air crackled, tension mounting as Marcus faced the embodiment of everything he feared. Then came the words, cold and razor-sharp. Your family's blood runs deeper in this madness than you'll ever know. A fresh chill washed over the group, silence enveloping them like a coffin's lid. Heavy, he shouted, his voice breaking through the dense fog, eyes darting between Riley, Kendra, and the child. They were all he had left. But uncertainty gnawed at him, unsettling everything he believed. The figure lowered its hood, revealing a face that sent shockwaves through Marcus's heart. A familiar visage, twisted by the years, but unmistakable. "Hello, Marcus," the figure purred, lips curling into a chilling smile. "It's been so long. Did you miss me?" Every breath evaporated from Marcus's lungs. "Carrie?" he gasped, the name barely a whisper, drenched in memories far better left unremembered. His old childhood friend, someone who had vanished from his life the same day as Kendra. "You're alive?" "Alive and well," she replied, the sweetness of her voice tainted with bitterness. "You have no idea how the world works, do you? It's not just family ties. It's about power and loyalty. Yours was a lie born from deceit." Haunting laughter echoed around them, and the crowd erupted into murmurs, disbelief washing over faces like an unwelcome tide. The urgency surged, twisting every pulse point. "What do you want?" Marcus demanded, a blend of anger and confusion snaking through him. "You were supposed to be dead." "I had to disappear. Do you really think it's easy to break free from a family bound by lies? Your father? He orchestrated everything. Kendra was a pawn. Your rival was always meant to suffer. All the tragedy, all the chaos, it leads back to one person. Your empire was built on blood, on theft." Behind her accusing eyes, a revelation churned with overwhelming force. It wasn't just Kendra and the boy who faced danger. Marcus realized he stood at the heart of a conspiracy larger than himself. You didn't come here to help us. You're playing a game, not just with us, but with everyone. The cloaked figure just smiled wider. "You think I'm playing? The truth is buried deep, and you're too blind to see it. Your family is not just in danger. It's the very target of a war you don't even know you're fighting." Before Marcus could respond, the air sharpened, electric with anticipation. In a flash, the dark-suited men sprang into action, their intent clear. They sought to reclaim their control, an urgency in their movement that froze the dynamics in place. "No!" Kendra screamed, her tone cutting through the chaos like glass. "You don't understand." "Run!" Riley shouted, gripping Marcus's arm, pulling him toward the frantic crowd. But confusion gripped Marcus, an anchor holding him back as his mind reeled. And then, in a moment that felt as if the world stopped spinning, a deafening explosion erupted from the ceiling. Dust rained down as screams splintered the air in a cacophony of fear and chaos. "Get out!" Carrie's expression twisted with a manic edge as she darted toward an exit. But before any of them could calibrate their escape, a figure emerged from the smoke behind her. An unrecognizable enemy shrouded in mystery. All eyes turned. Bodies jostled. Fear rose as another reality crashed into existence. In the smoke's embrace, an unexpected truth slowly emerged. Another group, black-clad unit, more organized, more dangerous, was targeting them with ruthless precision. Marcus watched in horror as they advanced, poised, their eyes unyielding, glistening with a hunger for something far greater than Marcus could understand. "Run faster," he shouted, gripping Kendra's hand tighter as the weight of secrets came crashing down like an avalanche, conspiracies unraveling faster than he could comprehend. But as they bolted through the panicked crowd, a single question echoed in Marcus's mind, biting deeper than all that had been said. Was he truly the one playing a game, or just a pawn in someone else's? The noise around Marcus exploded as chaos erupted. Fear rippled through the crowd, their faces pale with terror, as if every scream drained the last remnants of control from the terminal. Kendra's hand was the child, the key that tied everything together, suddenly felt like an insurmountable burden. What had he really stumbled into? How was the boy linked to all the revelations? He glanced back, eyes wide. What do they want from us? But before anyone could answer, the loud roar of gunfire split through the air, shattering the frenetic moment and sending Marcus reeling. A volley of gunshots rang out, echoing against the terminal walls. People dropped, screams crescendoed, and Marcus instinctively shoved Kendra and her child to the ground. He felt the heat of panic rise like a tide, crippling his thoughts. "Get back!" someone shouted, a voice punching through the chaos. The dark-suited men were now in full panic, their earlier confident demeanor crumbling as they scattered, retreating from an unseen force charging in. Through the thickening clouds of despair, a figure emerged, this time not cloaked, but a silhouette carving through smoke, barreling with purpose. Black boots thundered on the polished floor, revealing a fierce determination that sent shivers down Marcus's spine. It was a woman with a familiar stance, a warrior spirit carving through the mayhem. "Alex?" came a surprised gasp from Riley, cutting sharply through the cacophony. Marcus squinted, recognition filtering through the haze. Alex had been a trusted ally in his business dealings, her sharp acumen guiding many a negotiation. But then something shifted. As Alex drew closer, hands raised in a gesture of peace, her expression was laced with something darker. She stopped mere feet away, and the weight of her gaze bore into Marcus, as if seeking to transcend the chaos around them. Marcus, "We need to talk," she began, her voice strong yet tinged with urgency. But then her demeanor shifted as she locked eyes with Kendra, and the atmosphere thickened with unspoken truths. "What do you mean, we need to talk?" Marcus's voice cracked. His mind grappled with the shifting realities spinning all around him. He had trusted Alex. But could he trust her now? Because it's about them, about the boy. She glanced nervously at the child, their eyes momentarily connecting, something sharp flaring in that brief flash. "I kept it from you for too long, but what are you even saying?" Marcus shouted, his pulse racing. He felt the ground slip beneath him, voices melding into a chorus of confusion. "What do you know about any of this?" Alex inhaled deeply, steeliness replacing the urgency in her eyes. "You're the one who needs to understand who you really are," she asserted. "Your lineage is more than bloodlines. It's about a legacy buried deep in shadows." Every heart around them stalled. "What do you mean?" Kendra's voice trembled. The fear in it felt like shattering glass. But Alex pressed on, refusing to buckle under the pressure. "You are not just a bystander, Marcus. You are at the center of this war, and you've been part of a plan far greater than you perceive." With each word, the air grew denser, suffocating their thoughts with impending dread. "This child, he isn't just any boy. He's your brother." Time fractured. The air grew heavy as realization flooded Marcus like ice water. "What have you done, Alex?" Riley interjected. Eyes narrowed, betrayal simmering just beneath the surface. But Alex stepped forward. "They were orchestrating everything from the shadows, manipulating every choice every one of you has made." Her voice rose with defiance. "They told me if I wanted to stay alive, you needed to stay ignorant about your true origin." Marcus felt the walls of his reality start to crumble, flickering images of the past taunting him. Friends turned into enemies, unyielding bonds broken under the weight of truth. The boy, an innocent, caught in a game of shadows, suddenly became the very essence of betrayal. "Why didn't you tell me?" he pleaded, a desperate ember of hope flickering against the encroaching darkness. Her expression twisted, layers of emotion churning in her eyes. "Because I didn't know how you would react. You would have taken on the burden, just like I have." Before he could process the weight of her truth, the sound of footsteps echoed behind him. Heavy boots marching with intent, closing in rapidly. They weren't just after the child. They were zeroing in on the heart of a secret that threatened to rip them all apart. "Get down!" Alex yelled, shoving Kendra and her son away as darkness loomed closer. But as sirens rang in the distance, a different clarity struck Marcus at his core. He was no longer just a player. He was the center of this spiraling nightmare, caught in a web of conspiracies that transcended his understanding. With one last desperate cry, as the shadows closed in, he could only wonder if hope could survive in the abyss. What had once been a simple journey had morphed into a battle for survival, and he was left breathless, staring into an unfathomable void. The world around Marcus exploded into chaos, a cacophony of panic overshadowing his thoughts, twisting his gut with a primal fear that coursed through every fiber of his being. Kendra's terrified eyes reflected his own dread, the child's innocent face framed in the starkness of the madness swirling around them. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed ominously behind them, each step resonating like a ticking clock counting down to devastation. "Get down!" Alex roared, instinctively pushing Kendra and her son away, creating a tableau of sheer desperation. Glass rained down like crystalline shards as more gunfire erupted, filling the air with a bitter metallic taste that clung to their throats. Just as they stumbled back from the impending danger, the ground trembled beneath them. An explosion resonated not just from above, but also a sudden blast fro. The cloaked figure from before widened their stance, a silhouette surrounded by the illuminated haze of flickering emergency lights. But it was who emerged next that twisted Marcus's mind into a dizzying spiral. A familiar face revealed, judgmental eyes that had filled his childhood with warmth, now sharpened into coldness. It was his father. "Dad?" The words slipped from Marcus's lips, every sound echoing with disbelief. Each syllable a fleeting recognition that sent ripples of confusion through him. "You're alive?" His father grinned, a wicked smile twisted around the truth. "Oh, Marcus, my boy, this is the twist you never saw coming." The child, still huddled in Kendra's arms, peered wide-eyed, sensing the turmoil, the burdens of generations flickering before him like a raging fire. "What have you done?" Marcus shouted, the world spinning on a fragile axis. "This whole time? Not what I've done, but what I've orchestrated," his father replied, voice smooth, silken like a serpent sliding through grass. "You see, while you were busy building your empire with naivete, I needed someone to mold, the puppet that would bring us even greater power." Gasps erupted from the crowd as realization crashed down, suffocating their collective breath. Kendra's face turned ashen, while Riley's eyes darkened with betrayal, twisting his very being into a war zone of conflicting emotions. "You let us think you were dead? All to manipulate everything?" Riley's voice cracked, deeply laced with hurt. "Yes, I knew you'd just be a means to an end." His father waved his hand, dismissing Riley and Kendra like ghosts. "The boy is the key to seal our legacy in the shadows. He's not my grandchild. He's not yours, Marcus. He's the ultimate insurance policy, your brother's true son." A collective hush fell, the air sharp with disbelief. The child, a pawn in a game spanning generations. The very embodiment of a cruel legacy stretching back into the mists of their shared family history. "Brother?" Marcus stammered, the weight of the revelation pressing like a vice on his heart. "You're saying he's your brother, the heir to everything I've ever wanted. But now, with you stepping out of line, I'm afraid it's time to adapt the plan." The smirk, curling at his father's lips, felt venomous, the darkness in the air thickening, suffocating any fleeting spark of hope within Marcus. "Who are you?" Kendra's voice trembled, pain layered with disbelief coursed through her. "I am the architect of our destiny," his father declared, clasping his hands together, eyes glinting of scheming malice. "And with this revelation, I'll ensure the family legacy remains unbroken. Marcus's heart raced. Betrayal slicing deeper than any weapon ever could. In that instant, the air shifted around him. As buildings fell beneath a crumbling empire, he understood that everything, the masks, the illusions of safety, the rush toward survival, had always obscured a reality tinged with darkness, far more profound than he ever imagined. "What will you do now, Marcus?" came the soft challenge, as the world began to close in, tying him into a web of cruel fate. Will you fight against your blood, or will you embrace your true destiny? Standing at the precipice of chaos, with the weight of legacy pressing down, a revelation burned brightly in Marcus's mind. To escape his father's shadow would mean sacrificing everything he believed in, and start anew, carved in the flames of the past that held him captive. And with that, whispers of what awaited grew louder, the choice looming with an intensity that held the power to change the course of their fates forever. The tension crackled in the air, thickening like fog as Marcus stood on the boiling edge of revelation, his father's smirk twisted into something darker, anticipation licking at the corners of every eye locked onto him. The weight of his father's words hung heavily, twisting the fabric of their reality, while the child's wide eyes echoed innocence lost. Each heartbeat echoed like thunder, demanding action against the forces closing in. "What are you really after?" Marcus barked, boots firm on the tile, the thundering chaos surrounding them, dimming to a low. "Power. It runs in our blood," his father sneered, eyes gleaming with a hunger that sent prickles down Marcus's spine. "You've been groomed to take the reins, to sacrifice whatever it takes for our legacy." He chuckled ominously, but beneath that laughter lay an undercurrent of something darker, masking a deeper truth. As sirens clamored closer, the shadows began to shift. "What's happening?" That question hung dangerously in the air, as another explosive bang echoed, reverberating through the terminal like the wrath of a vengeful titan. Then it struck, an adrenaline jolt. Something else lurked behind the chaos, a truth buried deep. "Stand back, all of you!" Alex shouted, moving toward Marcus and Kendra, eyes darting between them and the approaching danger, spilling urgency into the moment. "We have to think clearly amidst this madness." But Marcus barely heard her. His father's voice resonated in his mind, the echoes of betrayal stinging like acid. "You see, boy, the more you dig, the deeper the pit. It's time to realize that blood has its price. Your decisions have consequences, and those consequences are about to unfold." And then the unthinkable happened. The child in Kendra's arms stiffened and began to radiate an aura of unease. His eyes flickered with an otherworldly light, a flicker that didn't belong to a mere boy. Whispers erupted from the crowd, a murmur that trembled through the mass like a frayed thread on the brink of snapping. Kendra's breath caught sharply. "What's wrong?" she stammered, shifting uncomfortably, confusion mapping her features. "Don't!" Marcus shouted, but chill overcoming his instinct to reach for the child. "Stay back. Something isn't right." But in the midst of that dawning terror, the boy's innocent gaze locked onto Marcus, and suddenly, the air shifted. An unbearable tension sparked to life, twisting reality like a knife in the dark. The boy breathed in deeply, and for a fleeting moment, time stretched impossibly thin. "Father," the child said in a voice deeper than his tiny frame suggested, reverberating through the terminal as darkness flickered along the edges of his form. Silence fell, a blanket of disbelief suffocating every heart. The revelation slammed against Marcus like an avalanche, gut-wrenching and deadly. "What did you just say?" he gasped, unable to comprehend the magnitude of it all. "Your past is not what you think, Marcus. Your true lineage, your mother's secret, it's all connected to me," the boy continued, a confluence of light and shadow merging behind him, revealing the flicker of energy. Kendra's face turned pale, her voice quivering. You're not just a child?" "Believe what you will about family. Our destinies are intertwined," he replied, the very fabric of his being vibrating with haunting knowledge. "And now, it's time for the truth to emerge." As the darkness shifted, gasps echoed like thunderclaps through the crowd. Panic surged, and blaring sirens punctured the air with urgency. The revelation stunned everyone, drawing them into the spiraling chaos where truth became a weapon. And just like that, identity fractured, loyalties splintered. With a shock that rippled through time itself, Marcus realized he was no longer merely at the center of a twisted family plot. It was a reckoning. The boy was not just a secret, but the key to an entangled web ready to unravel. "Get back!" Marcus shouted. But the boy stood firm, an unsettling calm encasing him. "What happens now?" Eyes wide, the air crackling with malicious intent, Marcus prepared for the storm. Because with every revelation came a consequence, an unyielding truth ready to shatter every connection he had ever known, and the cries for help from the outside world faded into a distant roar. What lay ahead loomed like an echo of impending doom. And in that moment, Marcus felt everything tilt violently on its axis. No longer just a game. It was survival, and the stakes were the very essence of who he was. But how far would he go to uncover the truth before it consumed him? Marcus felt the weight of the world press down on him. The boy, his brother, stood at the intersection of past and future, a bridge over a chasm of secrets. Kendra pulled him tightly, the fear evident in her eyes, but in that moment, anger flared within him. "What do you want from us?" he demanded, stepping forward, refusing to back down. The boy remained calm, his innocent face illuminated by a strange light. "To show you the truth, Marcus, the truth about our family, the truth that's been hidden for too long." "What does that mean?" Riley's voice trembled, each word laced with uncertainty. The cloaked figure had vanished, leaving nothing but shadows and fear. "Your father has used you all as pawns," the boy explained. "He needs to control the legacy, the empire he built. I am that legacy." Marcus shook his head, disbelief wrapping around him like a chain. "You're just a child. How can you hold this power?" "I may look like a child," the boy replied, "but I carry all the weight of our blood. We can stop him together." The sirens blared louder, the chaos swirling as the crowd pressed in. The urgency settled like a lead weight, urging them to act. "We need to move," Alex shouted, stepping into the fray, tugging everyone toward a back exit. "Stay close." They ran, a tight cluster of fears and revelations weaving through the crowd, dodging panic and confusion. Behind them, the sounds of chaos simmered like a boiling pot, but together they were stronger. United, they could fight. As they burst through the door leading to the alley, fresh air filled their lungs, sharp and sweet with freedom. They stumbled into the night, breathing heavily, relying on each other to navigate the chaos that had raged through their lives. Marcus turned to the boy, heart racing. "If we stop your grandfather, what happens next? Who are we?" The boy faced him, a flicker of resolve sparked in his eyes. "We redefine what family means. Together." Kendra's expression softened as she witnessed this delicate bond forming. "You'll always have each other." Marcus nodded, finally feeling the weight of something that had been lost. The anger that had festered gave way to acceptance, and he felt hope rise like smoke after a fire. The boy was not merely a part of the past. He could be a beacon for their future. They returned to their cars and left the chaos behind. The world ahead was uncertain, but they would navigate it together. The sirens faded, replaced by the distant hum of life returning to normal. As they hit the road, Marcus couldn't help but glance back. Shadows slipped into the night, but the truth illuminated his path on the horizon, drawing them forward. He turned to Kendra. "No more secrets." She smiled, warmth glowing in her eyes. "Together." And somehow, beneath the shattered past, this journey felt like a new beginning. But just as hope ignited, the boy glanced out the window, eyes narrowing at something in the distance. "I sense a storm coming," he whispered, a shadow creeping across his young face. And somewhere, deep in the whispers of the night, a voice echoed, "It's not over yet." Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Share this video right now with at least 5 friends who need to know how this ends. You must do it now. Don't wait another second to share.